Charles.
Oh, yeah, you got the Bob Charles Show right here at www.kinetichifi.com.
International.
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into
Bob Charles.
The secret of the technology used in the crystal skulls has still not been unraveled.
Sundays.
Don't forget, it's our world. Start taking care of it. It's time to think for yourself.
Bob Charles.
Open your heart to reality and to all the misinformation you hear. Just say no.
Noon to 4 on kinetichifi.com.
Hey, it's the Bob Charles Show on Sunday on www. Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio and Pyramid One Network. You got the Bob Charles Show right here on www. Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio on Pyramid One Network. And you know what? It's Sunday. You know it. I know it. We're having a blast. We're doing a lot of talking. And one thing that happens on this network that doesn't happen anywhere else, you really hear truth, the whole story and nothing but the story, and you walk away from here with a smile on your face. That's a good thing. Let me tell you about the guest that I got coming up right now. Her name is Llyn Roberts. I love the word Robert. With a name like Bob, hey. She's an author. I heard her laughing in the background. She's an author, a co-founder of the Olympic Mountain EarthWisdom Circle. She's a Reiki Master, an intuitive teacher of healing, shamanism, and shape-shifting programs. A modern-day mystic and spiritual ecologist. She's trained with many healers and peoples in South America and in Siberia. She facilitates workshops and sacred journeys to many people all around the world and people living in remote regions. She's also studied Buddhism, naturopathy, and yoga. Her current book, Shapeshifting into Higher Consciousnes, which is an unbelievable piece, believe me, sharing her years of experience with Indigenous healers, shamans, and elders. Who knows how to shape-shift realities. May I present to you, to the world, to the globe, Llyn Roberts. Hey.
I've been teaching energy healing and shamanism for well over 17 years. I actually am trained as a psychotherapist. I have a master's degree in Tibetan Buddhist and Western psychology. I really wanted to relate in a much more intimate way with the person, hands-on with energy work, and also felt the profound healing force of the earth. So I had the opportunity of visiting many different cultures. I studied and worked in Tuva, on the Asian steppe, on the Mongolian border, deep in the Amazon basin with Shuar people, and with Quechua healers high in the Andes, and with Maya elders in Guatemala at the many sacred sites. Most of the cultures that I've worked with work in community. They really recognize the power of the community to heal, and it's always engaging with the earth. My purpose is to not only introduce these other methods of healing, but to bring us to the root of this understanding how to come back into harmony with this amazing planet, creating sacred space, getting people out, walking on their bare feet on the earth, connecting people with fire and water and earth and air and feeling the wind. And let the earth teach us, let the elements teach us. Every shaman who heals is always asking the stones, letting the stones direct, reading the fire and letting the fire tell us what the circumstances are and what the story is and how to bring balance to the story. One of my favorite mantras is relax the mind, drop into the heart, the knowing of the heart, drop into the wisdom of the body, and touch the earth. And we're allowing the deep wisdom that's all around us to really come alive. That's when magic comes alive. No matter what's occurring, no matter what chaos and tragedy, there is still life and there's still joy. I make offerings, and I also offer my time, my energy, my heartfelt interest, and my love. Then the more that energy is available to me, the more I can access it and move it through me for the purposes of healing these larger relationships. It's not us that does the healing. When we are working with someone, we are conduits for the earth, for the elements, for the spirits that we're working with. There are prophecies about these times. Our ideas, our concepts, our ways of being in the world are coming to a close. A new way of understanding who we are in relationship to each other, and also, and it's hailing out here right now, it's pretty magical, our relationship to the earth. Everything is shifting and moving, and we have an opportunity to know ourselves differently. We have an opportunity to live differently in relationship to this amazing planet.
Llyn.
Hi, Bob. How are you today?
Yeah, I heard you call me on the cell phone before. I was like running late. Oops.
That's okay.
That's all right. Nobody's going to shoot me for that one. Yeah, we got people, by the way, we've got them on conference phone from anywhere on the planet. We've got the chat box net that's been honking ever since we started at 1 o'clock. I'm telling you, you got a lot of listeners out there that want to hear what you got to say, because I don't know what to say about this. I mean, you've done so many things that are so good and so helping to so many people. Got to get the word out.
Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity. It's been a really remarkable journey, and I'm, one of those fortunate people who have been able to experience shamanic cultures all over the world in their own settings. Shamanism is big in this country, and spirituality, and I'm just so grateful, to have my feet on those lands that are so important to these cultures, and to get it directly in that way and share it.
Let me ask you a question, though. You did mention something about the spiritualism part of it. What have you found? What is your feelings that are we really, really going in the right direction?
Well, can you say more about that? What do you mean, are we going in the right direction?
Well, so many people today look at spiritualism and that as something as like its own religion. I mean, I've had emails now where people say, well, what church is that from? And I said to them, well, if you're asking me about a church, then you weren't listening to the show. I mean, it's like, really, who are you listening to? It wasn't me, that's for sure. But they don't know that it's a feeling. It's yourself. It's thinking about, number one, it's about being a human being for a change.
Yeah, I think that's a really wonderful way to describe it, Bob. And, one thing I've learned from Indigenous people, and that comes naturally for me, and I know is innate to being human, but oftentimes we're kind of separate from it, is that all of this is within us. It's really not external to us. And And we're living beings on this amazing planet whose magic we have barely tapped. You know, the first step is we need to live in right relationship with the earth, and I think from that there's the opportunity to really tap some incredible power that we've forgotten, essentially. So I see spirituality. I mean, the word is what so many people have so many connotations to that word, but really for me it's a very individual, very personal, intimate experience with the elements, with the earth, and also with the cosmos. And those are inseparable because everything on the earth is made of stardust, as are we. And from the time of being a very young child, I've had contact with star beings, and that's how my first book came about, because Remembering is a channel piece from Star Consciousness. So, you know, it's all here, it's all with us, and it's really a matter of remembering and opening and relaxing so we can start to tap who we really are, start to tap into who we really are. And I think that's how we're going to find our way through these complex times.
Tell me a little bit about the Olympic Mountain EarthWisdom Circle.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What does it do? If I was going to go, what would I get from it?
Well, we do a variety of things, and actually this work is kind of the fruition of work I did with another nonprofit organization named Dream Change, founded by John Perkins, for many years. So OMEC is a continuity of that, and one of the things we do is we offer trips to people to work with Indigenous people in different parts of the world, as I have for almost 20 years. So we take groups to Guatemala on a very quiet side of Lake Atitlán, and we work intensively with Maya elders there in a small village. And we also, next year, I'll be doing a trip to West China, and I've brought people to Siberia and the Amazon and Andes and Ecuador. And so that's one part of what we do. We're bringing people to the remote locations to learn from Indigenous teachers, and also to, really understand the power of their lands and their cultural, spiritual history. And we also, from that, we develop Indigenous projects. I have a book project now. I'm working with Siberian people, shore people, on preserving the legacy of their culture in book form. And so we do Indigenous projects. And we also have other facilitators. I do workshops. I've worked at the Omega Institute for almost 20 years in Rhinebeck, New York, and I'll be there again Memorial Day weekend with Karen Fletcher presenting Shapeshifting and Barefoot Earth Wisdom. So we really bring our work out to these holistic educational centers, and we have other facilitators doing that as well, and a woman working with bringing shamanism and nature-based healing ways into school systems, and we have a variety of work that we do in addition to publications. I'm working on my fourth book now. It's just about finished with Sandra Ingerman. So that's kind of a snapshot of the Olympic Mountain EarthWisdom Circle, and the work is really geared to helping people to develop an earth-honoring consciousness and to remember that the deep mystery of life is something that we can step into, and really honoring our relationship to the innate wisdom that we have.
What do you think about the culture here in North America as opposed to other areas of the world? Are we listening to you or not?
Well, it's a complex question to answer. First of all, I would say that we have a lot to learn from Indigenous people. For instance, it's very interesting. I've studied healing forms extensively in other cultures, and we tend to do healings in North America very individually, and we have, the client and the practitioner, and everything's in a room together. And in other cultures, healing is a real communal event. So if you receive a healing, it's with a group of people that you came with, and it's with the families and children in that community of the shaman who's working with you. It's a very, very different setting, and it's also very much in relationship with the earth. Even shamanism here, sometimes we forget that it's not just about the healing technique. It's really about the deep relationship to the elements and the spirits and the earth. And so I think that's one aspect. And also that, we're sometimes spirituality here, I feel, is very compartmentalized. In other ways also, for instance, when we talk about, say star beings, or we imagine that they're out there. And we imagine also that it's kind of this New Age thing. But really, within the cosmologies of every indigenous culture I've worked with is these relationships with star nations, with star people, with, our universal relationships beyond our relationships with everything on this planet. So it's a very natural kind of integrated relationship. And I think that could really serve us well if we start to, just go out in our backyard or go to a park or go to the wilderness areas near where we live and recognize that everything we're seeking is really here, and it's not so compartmentalized. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not a theory. It's a living experience that we can tap into through our relationship with the earth and by tapping our deep internal, our body wisdom, our heart wisdom.
What's really, really cool about that is, too, in shamanism, and that there is that connection to the spirit. Mm-hmm. You're connecting your self and that to another realm, to another place. Mm-hmm. And that when you do that, and by doing that, you're also freeing yourself from so much while you do that. So you're actually making yourself a better person. A better person is one that's held down by all that negative, the negative things that we live with every day. We learn to throw it over our shoulder and say, "Get out of here." So what? Okay, I had a bad day. Good. Okay, tomorrow's another day. But the beliefs in shamanism can change on a regular, everyday, walking around the street level. They just didn't catch up yet, I don't think.
Right. No, I think that's true. And that's a really important point, that if anything is really powerful and important, it's really going to affect our day-to-day life. It can't just be something we experience on Sundays or, in the temple or the church or the synagogue, wherever we are. It's really going to impact us on a moment-to-moment level. And it also really needs to move into our communal and societal levels, and it has to relate us back to the earth, because really the earth is our support and sustenance. We all know we're on an environmental precipice, and the spirits are available to us. It's like a parallel reality. It's not so much that it's another realm that's totally separate from this one. It really coexists. And I think that's what shamans straddle. They don't. It's really amazing, for instance, when I've worked extensively in the Andes in Ecuador, and we do this fire-blowing healing practice, and as I described, it's in community. And this is interesting, too, because the shamans won't work on people with their clothes on. So people are standing there with no clothes on, with community around, and they're being worked on with plants and fire and sacred water. And the beautiful part is that the shamans are in and out of what we describe as alternate or expanded reality. They don't see it as real separate. So they're deep in trance and perceiving what they're doing and working, shapeshifting into the fire of the volcanoes when they're fire blowing on people. And then in the next second, they can turn around and crack a joke or engage with a 5-year-old child, and the chickens are walking in and out, and everything is really here now. It's not so separate. So we can be walking down the street and we can totally forget about our spiritual connection, and then in a moment we can recognize, we might hear music, or we might feel a waft of wind, or we might look into somebody's eyes, and there it is. And so these things are with us all the time. They're not separate.
You know, you talked about elementals, and that takes everything from trees to fairies.
True.
In a sense. Now, have you talked to anybody here in the U.S. that actually knows that they can talk to a tree? I mean, really, seriously. I mean, this is real stuff that's really happening today.
Yeah, it is real, and I don't know if you got my email that I sent to you, Bob, right before the show, but I just actually emerged from spending almost 2 years as a hermit in the Hoh rainforest. And so, yes, people can talk to trees. I talk to trees. I was there over a period of time, very isolated, and literally heard the singing of the land pretty continuously while I was there. And I've seen orbs, brilliant orbs of light. People are capturing these on film all the time now. Mm-hmm. These are really alive parts of our life. They're here, Yeah. So yes, people talk to trees, and I haven't seen fairies, but I hear singing. So yes. We all perceive in different ways. Also, some of us hear things, some of us just sense or feel, some of us smell. Beautiful scent that we equate with spiritual realities. It's different for everybody.
Exactly. I mean, for instance, and I'll give you a pretty good one. You can have a normal day, be in a normal area, be in your house, be outside your house, and all of a sudden either something catches the edge of your eye and you turn around and there's nothing there, but it did catch your attention. Or you can, I've gotten this before though, like a smell. Mm-hmm. You can be in an area, I could be in the middle of a parking lot of a mall, and out of nowhere smell like something like a piece of wood or a flower or something like that, and it's a 1, 2, 3 thing. It's gone in like 3 seconds, but it's gone. I mean, gone. It's not like something that was in the area that was giving off an odor that you're going to smell for a little while. This is something that just passes. I have this weird feeling that we have dementia. We're in a spot right now where all of these planets and everything else that are moving. We are constantly in touch with, and we don't know it, but we're constantly in touch with higher beings that are way over our head that we don't even understand yet, but they understand us. So that's somebody's got the idea. But you've got all of this going on right now, and yet still. If you turn around and you tell that story and that to, someone who's not been introduced to this idea, they'll turn around and they'll look at you and go, "Are you out of your mind?" And I said to them, "Yeah," and I'm crazy, feeling good. It's crazy, but it's true. I mean, how about shaman? I mean, do they? I mean, does the community itself in that actually believe that we're coming into like a new dimension?
Well, this is what I've heard, with the indigenous people I've worked with, and so many cultures. This is from Siberia. They have different names for this time period in Siberia. It's called Belavodia. With the Buddhists, you might know it as Shambhala. With the Quechua people and a lot of the people in Central and South America, it's called the Pachacuti, the new Pachacuti. And but all of these cultures are saying that we're really into new times, and really nothing new is happening on the planet. Only that the new thing is that what was kind of blindfolding us. All these veils of perception are really falling away. And this is a time when, so many things converge. For instance, we're really at a precipice, socially, environmentally, so many ways, economically. And at the same time, we have all these amazing things opening up in our new sciences and healing forms and spirituality. And it's really a time that we can understand ourselves in a much more whole, a larger way, and really tap into the deep spiritual presences that are available to us and create for ourselves new opportunities, new ways of living. It really takes some effort, though, because we have to be willing to die to who we think we have been, because the world we've created really isn't the whole of it, and we're all suffering enough to know that that's true. There's got to be more, and there is more. And so, what I'm hearing and feeling and understanding from Indigenous people is that these veils are just artificial constructs, and they're falling away. And this can be very confusing and terrifying for some people. So we have to relax enough to not get caught up in the fear, because really it's an opportunity to move into a whole new place of understanding and relationship, to each other and the earth.
While you're saying, connect with the earth, what does the shaman, community think about? And I know you talk to other shamans too in your travels. What do they think about what us, humanity, is doing to the earth?
Well, it's about separation. That's what we've done. We've separated ourselves from the earth, and as a result, we're becoming depleted in many ways. Not only are our resources depleted, but our energies are depleted individually. And some of the groups I've worked with, of course, it varies, but some, for instance, the Shore and the Amazon, tell about, the earth is a restorative figure. So really what we're threatening is the human species. We're not threatening the earth. The earth is an amazing force. It's a conscious organism and really able to restore itself. So really what we're threatening is humanity, and we all know that, it's time to live in different ways. So that's kind of a predominant view.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get it in that when I say that everything, I mean everything, no matter what it is. I don't care what it is. Whatever you touch, see, smell, hear, everything, even think about, is energy. All of it. Mm-hmm. So, if that's the case, don't forget, every single thing you screw up is another piece of something that you could have had.
Mm-hmm.
Because energy goes around. I mean, let's face it, it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. It only transforms.
Exactly. Now, with the thing with the trees, we yell about climate warming, global warming, climate changes, all this stuff. Well, then why are we cutting down all the trees?
That's a good point, and that's something I'm so aware of after living in, a fairly remote area in a forest. Do people out there know that the United States has, in the northwest tip of the United States, the largest temperate rainforest in the world? Most people I talk about this with on the East Coast have no clue that we have a rainforest in our country. And, a good part of it's preserved in the national park systems, but all around Washington State, we are clear cutting. And, the trees are the breath of the planet. They're the life source, and they bring the weather, they bring the water to the planet, Without the trees, we start drying out. And I really believe strongly that trees are their own consciousness, and they're part of our memory of who we are and where we came from. And, trees are vital in so many ways.
The funny part about it was, well, not the funny part of it, was actually the sad part of it, was that that place that had the mudslide, where so many people lost their lives over there.
Right.
Okay. Why did they take the trees? They took the trees, they got rid of the trees, and then the mountain came down.
Yeah, so it's pretty commonsensical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's very sad. It's tragic. When I first moved out to the Ho, it was a half an hour drive into the forest from one of the main roads, and there were no clear-cut areas. When I moved in 2 years later, there are at least half a dozen, if not more, and we don't realize the impact. I mean, it's common sense. You strip the trees on the edge of a river, and the land has nothing to hold it there. so, it's time to really look at things with fresh eyes and to, I think part of the dissociation is because we don't get our bare feet on the land enough. I mean, so many of us live, not me, but most of the world's populations now live in cities, but there's still land, there's still nature, and we have to connect with it, because unless we do, we just have an intellectual idea of what happens. I know when I talk to people on the East Coast about the Northwest forests, it's like, oh, well, we're cutting trees, but they're all being replanted. So what is the big deal? Well, replanting a monoculture of trees is not a forest. A forest is about diversity. A forest is about many different kinds of animals being able to roam and thrive in it. It's about a lot of things, and these monocultures that are replanted and cut down again in 35 years are not a forest.
Yeah, I was going to say to some of the people that are down here, we're in Charleston, South Carolina. That's where I'm sitting. And, I've said to people here, if you really, really want to find out whether a tree talks, go take a walk in the woods. And we don't, right. I mean, in this area, Net, there are many forests that are around here, but you don't see a lot of people not walking in them. And I told them, I said, somewhere, somehow, there's side roads and things like that. Tell a cop that you're going over there to the thing and you're going to park your car over there. And I said, put some good shoes on, good pair of pants, prepare yourself in that to walk in a place that a snake might, go in front of you or whatever. Go in there and just take a walk. Just know where you are. Take a walk straight in, straight out, and see if you feel anything different about a tree. I'm serious. Yeah. Those trees will communicate with you if you walk a half mile in and half mile straight out.
That's great. That's really beautiful. And it's, and also, it's so important to do that. It's so important to touch into, pure aspects of nature. And also we can go out our front door, and even if we have just a little plot of earth in the city or wherever we are, to take our shoes off and get our feet on the earth, because that really connects us with the vital energy of the earth. And, there's a great book out called Earthing, and there's scientific proof now that being on the earth is a way to really balance us energetically and to discharge a lot of the energy we pick up by being on cell phones, by living in the technological world that we do. The earth has tremendous power, and we really need to go for a half an hour walk in the woods, like you described, so important, and talk to those trees and smell and look and feel and listen. And we also need to get our bare feet on the earth. And I have a habit now from living in the Ho. Every day I take a nap on the land. And I do this in the rain because at Cord we get almost 15 feet of rain a year in the Ho, but you can find ways to be on the land no matter what the weather. When I grew up in New England, I'd go out, bundle up, and got, all natural fiber clothing, wool coat, and go out and lie in the snow for half an hour in the day. Because I personally really need that vital energy. I can't function without it. And I think we're starting to see that, there are so many places of imbalance, but go out and put your feet on the earth or take a nap on your lawn and see how you feel when you wake up. You're going to be changed. Your consciousness shifts. Your body gets healthier. You feel energized.
How close are you to Shasta?
Oh, I'm quite a few hours from Shasta. I've never been there. Have you?
No, not yet.
Uh-huh.
Not yet. Yeah. I've been invited. Yeah, I've been told that as funny as some of the fans are that they come in, that they say, look, you can't just talk about it. You got to go and see it. I said, okay.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point. There are so many power spots on the earth, and these are places where the veils are thin and where expanded reality is very accessible, and we experience that so vividly when we're at Atitlan in Guatemala with our groups. And this last time it was amazing because we all, after a few days on this other side of the lake, where not too many people venture, we literally started feeling this movement in our bodies. And some of us assumed, well, this is a volcanic area, the ground's moving. And then we realized, no, there's no indication of any physical movement. This is energy. This is like really a vortex, And there are many places on the earth, the Ho, rainforest, vortex, some of our very profound, pristine, natural places. And also during this time of the veil thinning, we have an opportunity to recognize that the whole earth is a vortex. You know, it's all here, and we need to open to that and remember that it's really powerful to go to these other places, and it's really powerful to invoke them right where we are, just to call them in. It's like, I know you're here, expanded reality, show yourself. You know, I'm going to start talking to my own trees. I'm going to start really relating to the nature spirits where I live.
You know, I've also heard this, too, and we've got, now we've got a couple of earthquakes going on. We've got a couple of volcanoes, which could happen, and one did. I mean, these things are going on all over the place, but I tell people all the time that it's the earth tapping you on the shoulder and saying, we're here. You know, it's like, you know, you're going to screw with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is going to tap you on the hand for doing it.
Yeah, and that's what you hear a lot, that the earth is just, it's not any punishment. It's just where it's time to wake up.
Yeah, just reminding.
And, yeah.
Just reminding.
It's also a cleansing, it's a cleansing process. And when things dissolve around us, we can't hold on to what we used to. It's really time to, we have to look really freshly at everything. We can't keep building our homes on the edges of cliffs or on the waterfronts. The waters are rising and the cliffs fall into the ocean. We've got, it's interesting, nomadic peoples, they had such a deep relationship, and they were moving across the land, and that's the kind of relationship we can restore. We probably won't go back to those old ways and be nomadic, but we can open our body wisdom to the messages that the earth is giving to us now.
I was going to say that maybe we can't walk across the land, but you can take care of the piece of land you're standing on right now.
Exactly.
And if everybody did, that would also take care of that nomadic land that's somewhere else, because somebody else saw the other guy do it, and the other guy do it, and the other guy do it. You know what I mean? It's kind of sort of like playing.
True.
Yeah, telepathic. Telephone? If you think hard enough, the consciousness will move mountains.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. And also, when we put good energy into anything, that's a force in itself. Good sentiment, good action, good energy. And there's a response from that. And, we can shift the energies, the molecular energies all around us. And this is basic quantum physics right now. So the problem with all of that, the only problem is that we just haven't integrated it, just filtered it down to our everyday life. And that's what we have the opportunity to do now. And each of us doing that just makes that energy bigger and makes it easier for everybody to tap into that possibility.
It's funny, though, and I'm probably going to get in trouble with emails again with this one, too, but I'm telling you that when it comes to the physics part, when we talk about the science part of it, physics, it's, really, I don't know why they have to coin what's going on. I mean, it's just like letting Earth be the way it was. What's physics in this? Why do somebody have to explain to me on a 500-page report of what's going on with the Earth when you can walk across a piece of land and you can tell them what's going on?
It's a good point.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
It's a really good point. I think the gift of that, though, is that there are many people that really need to take it in through the mind first. And so because really we're a lot of people on this planet, and it really has to filter in through the masses. So I see that as part of the Earth's intelligence, that it's coming to us in so many ways that's absolutely true. All we need to do is go out and walk on the Earth, and we have to do that, and everything's going to kind of spark and wake us up from that, just our gentle, simple walking on the Earth. And at the same time, there are so many of us that are so separate from even that coming in through those ways is real important. It's a way that people, who may have no relationship to this stuff may say, well, you know what you were telling me 5 years ago? Well, I read it in this place, and I heard about it on the news, and wow, you were doing that a long time ago, and now I understand it. And, it's just part of how, we as a whole population are starting to understand what our reality is really about.
I can't help it. I just want to kick them harder in the butt, So that's just the way it is. You also
there's a place and time for that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, not literally, but hypothetically, put it that way.
Yeah.
You also translate ancient techniques. Now, we were just talking about that on a show, actually the last two shows that we mentioned things like that about ancient everything. I mean, engineering, products that we have out now that were similar to products they had 5, 10, 15, 20 million years ago. I mean, these things are just coming around and we're just getting smarter. But why are we getting smarter? Nobody knows. Nobody wants to know about it. But I could tell you right off the bat of my back of my hand that somebody somewhere is giving us a little direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you want to say more about that?
No, actually, what I wanted to do is I wanted to deal with the ancient techniques in that you're actually translating, so that people can understand it better. I mean, I'm setting the table for you.
Okay, well, a lot of what we've been talking about is how I translate ancient techniques, and there are also specific ways that we do in workshops. The work that I do is, I'd say, 90% experiential. It's not a didactic training. It's not me telling anybody anything, because it really comes from their own relationship. So then translating these techniques from what I've learned in working with shamanic cultures all over the world is, for instance, sharing with people how to do shamanic journeys and how to, in very simple ways, tap into expanded realities, how to know who their spirit guides are, how to have relationships with these spirit guides, how to work with them in every day, how to also work with, for instance, if you have a problem in your community or at work, how to use shape-shifting techniques to be able to look at those problems from a different angle. So you can have the perspective of your spirit guide, which is often very, very different from our small kind of ego perspective, and we can understand things differently and come up with more creative ways of working with everyday issues.
Okay, so by doing that, you're actually teaching people to do what they probably know how to do already. It's just that they never concentrated enough on it. Right.
We sometimes put shamans on a pedestal like we do so many spiritual people. And I think that's part of the lesson of a lot of these shakedowns in our spiritual communities, is that it's not time to put people on a pedestal. It's time to really own that power in ourselves. And in shamanic cultures, they're just part of the community. They are not put on pedestals, and some of them are farmers and merchants, and then they are also, intermediaries for spirit and for nature and the earth. Yes, it's in us. For us to tap in these ancient healing forms. I mean, people are amazed. It's beautiful. I teach shamanic Reiki also at Omega, and I've been doing that for many years, an integration of shamanism and hands-on energy work. And it's so beautiful when Reiki practitioners come in and integrate that with shamanism, that it's so natural. And people are blown away by it's so natural, and these healing effects happen, and it's so innate to us to open to these energies and to work with spiritual energies in a very conscious way, and to bring in the elements, and to know that we're not doing any of this. We're just participating. So it's actually very playful. And I find that that's a real key ingredient to open us to a lot of these aspects in our world, is really to have a child's mind and to open our heart and to enjoy it feel the ecstasy, of being out in nature and doing healing forms that are very ancient, but so familiar, when we actually move into doing them.
So it's actually, how would you say it, shifting into a higher consciousness?
Yes.
That's the shape-shifting part.
Shape-shifting. Shape-shifting is, people have heard stories about shamans in other cultures maybe shape-shifting into a bear or other animals, and I believe these things are very possible, and I've seen, like I described, I've seen balls of light. I've seen amazing things in my life that didn't seem possible from a rational point of view. And then there's shape-shifting, we can shapeshift who we are, who we see ourselves as, and when we're doing healing work, we're shapeshifting, helping a person to shapeshift from, an energetic template that's illness, that is an imbalance, to a more balanced place. And when we're working with spirit guides, we can actually shapeshift into their qualities. We can take a few moments and call it a meditation and really feel our own body becoming that bear or that spirit guide, whatever form it is, and feel those qualities as our own qualities and really bring those into our lives. And higher consciousness, I wanted to talk about that because in some ways we talk about higher this and higher that, and I think it's true, but I would probably now use the word expanded consciousness, because higher sometimes implies that we're lower or that it's separate from us. And really, I don't see it that way anymore at all, that these higher beings that you mentioned early on in the show that really are guiding us, they're us. They're part of us. They're part of our own expanded aspects of who we are, and we just really need to tap into them now and embody them.
Yeah, I've seen a question on the emails net before that were they want to know, Annette, if can you have your own guide? Now I would answer yes, because it depends upon where and when you are. In your travel or in your quest, wherever you're going and whatever you're doing. But so many people that do still believe in one God, and that's it. Now, I'm not inferring at all to God, so knock that right out of your socks. What I'm saying is, your guide is someone from yourself that guides yourself. But most of us don't listen to them.
Yeah, our guides are with us all the time, and when people, when we journey to our spirit guides, we're discovering them, but they've been with us, and so it's just a matter of tapping into them.
Yeah, what I was saying before, and that too, energy continues.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of people on this planet, and a lot of people that go to another universe or whatever, when their human 3D life ceases, and some of those guides or guys or women or children can be guides.
That's true. People that we've known, and even family members can be our spirit guides, and it really spans. It's a very diverse thing, and animals can be our spirit guides. A bird can be your guide. Your grandfather can be your guide. An ascended being can be Jesus as a guide. And, there are so many energies that we can tap into there that are real benevolent, compassionate forces here to support us.
Have you been into the animal communication sector of the shamanism?
I am very, very moved by that. In fact, I saw a video of a woman in South Africa, I forgot her name, that does just beautiful work with animals in that way. I think that's such an important part of what we can all open to now. I have my own relationship with animals, and I'm really happy to see, these animal communicators really coming in strongly.
Yeah, we've
the public eye.
We've had a lot of them on the show, and every single one of them. I mean, I have 2 animals here with me right now. I mean, whenever I do my shows, my dog is with me. He just has to be. He's a crazy dog, But on the other side, she being, they were all women. Actually, no, there was one guy, and they were all talking about the dog, and all of them were dead on. They were literally communicating with the dog, and they were all dead on. So if anybody were to turn around and say to me, no, you can't communicate with an animal, I would have to tell them they're crazy.
Yeah.
Because you can't, only I can know what my dog knows, what the relationship is, or things that we do, or things that he likes and he doesn't like. Only me and him. But these communicators, through me probably, communicated with the animal.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's so important, because animals, and we have so many animals that people have as pets, and of course we're eating animals, and our relationship is really important to the animals now. I have a really beautiful story, actually, when I was in the Ho, in my cabin in the Ho, and, I travel out for events, and I had a 19-year-old cat, and who was very feeble but going strong at 19 years old, and I used to fret about, my God, and I'm out and traveling, what am I going to do when my cat needs her elder care, I've got to be around. And the most beautiful, powerful thing happened for me. My cat used to come to me every night for a massage, and just kind of climb up on the couch, and I'd give her a full-body massage, and we had just this really beautiful relationship. And so this one night she came over, and she was a bag of bones, and it just caught me by surprise. And something in me just knew this is it, and so I gave her massage, her bony body, and then I sat with her for about 45 minutes, and I talked to her, and I told her, you've had a beautiful life, I love you so much, and you can let go, it's time, and it's all right, and then I did just some Buddhist chanting with her for a very long time. And then I just felt complete. I just looked into her eyes, and I just knew I was finished, and whatever happened at that point was what happened. And I went into the other room for a while, and then I came out, and she was at the door, and it was 9:30 at night, and here we are in the middle of the forest, and it was cold. It was winter. It was about 29 degrees there. But I opened the door pretty spontaneously, and she went out, and I didn't find her until the next afternoon. She had gone out that door that night and released her spirit into one of the spruce trees outside my house. I found her body. So these beings, these animals have so much to teach us. I learned so much about the wisdom of my cat, and how she was showing me how to relate with her, as she died, and in a very conscious way. I was kind of blown away. If I could die that consciously, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another thing too in it. That many people that really don't take into consideration. They look at for instance, say you go out to, I don't know, any of these places when they have rescue animals, and that they bring them out, they have them in cages, and you walk from cage to cage, and you look at the animals, and a lot of people that go by like, hey, listen, that dog was wagging his tail.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the tail. Skip the tail. All right? Look in the eyes.
Yeah.
You will see what happened to the dog or cat or mouse. It doesn't matter. Look into the eyes. You can tell. You don't even have to be intuitive to do it. You can see it. And if you see it, that's when the intuitive part follows.
Yeah, that's really a beautiful description.
Yeah, it's the way to understand by putting let's face it, your eyes are the windows to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Your world. And if that's the case, open the window and look in once in a while.
No, that's very true. And what that does is, I feel what you're speaking to is a lot of what I've learned so much with Indigenous people is to look from the eyes of the heart, and you look into the eyes and you open your heart and you feel. You know, you don't think, you feel. And, you know, we live so much from the neck up, but it's really time to, you know, sense what we feel in our body and look into the eyes of an animal and a person and look into the eyes of a tree and see what you feel.
Yeah, we have, there is David Malarch, who has a foundation called Archangel, and he is the man who clones and populates ancient trees around the world.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's a totally free foundation that if you want a tree, you know, get on Archangel. Just look up David Malarch, Milarch, and you can see all about this and what he's doing. That person was the one that actually told me how to talk to a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, just put your back up against the tree, take your arms, put it around the trunk of the tree. You know, get a nice looking tree, you know, a big one. I got 6 foot long arms. I mean, this is ridiculous. I can itch my ankle that's standing up. But you know, it's crazy. But if you do it and you take your palms of your hands, put them against the trees, bare feet are always good when you do something like this, and give it about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and you will feel the tree. The tree knows you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to be special. You don't have to be, you know, into all this, you know, crazy stuff and everything else. What everybody says, crazy stuff. You don't have to do that. Just try it. Try it. See if it works.
Yeah.
It can't fail. It will work.
Yeah, it does work, and you're right. You don't have to be a tree hugger to do this stuff.
Nope.
To consider yourself a tree hugger. You know, the Siberians taught me a really beautiful practice that's real similar to what you're saying, and they showed me all you have to do is get down on the earth and put your palms on the earth and put your forehead on the earth also, and the earth will speak with you. And it's the same thing with the tree. You can do it the way you described, and you can also just hold your palms against the tree and place your forehead against the tree and have this conversation with the tree. So there are, you know, many beautiful and simple ways to do this, and people all over the world, our ancestors have done this, you know, since millennia. We're just kind of forgetting all of it. So, yeah, that's a really good way of remembering.
Well, there's another thing that I always throw in there too, and that if you're up against a tree and you're thinking about the tree and you're what you had said, hugging the tree, and you're doing this stuff, do you realize how much of the burden of negative things that are in your mind that you're throwing right out the window?
Mm-hmm.
That's like meditation without meditating.
Right.
It's a really good thing.
Sometimes we think meditation is a complex or, you know, rigorous or, you know, a discipline, something we have to do. And again, there's so much value in meditation, and sometimes I think it gets too compartmentalized again, where you're in a room and you're on this kind of a cushion and you have, you know, this and that going on to support it. But it's really as simple as you described, that being with a tree is its own meditation, and the tree will help you empty out your mind and unload your baggage. Mm-hmm. And to the tree and to the earth, it's compost. It's like food. You know, you don't have to think that you're poisoning the tree or the earth. It recycles it because it's energy that it can eat and recycle. So it's a very simple and joyous way of meditating, and it doesn't take very much effort.
Well, where can everybody come and find out about you and EarthWisdom Circle?
Well, people can find us at the Olympic Mountain EarthWisdom Circle, and that's EOMEC.org, EOMEC.org. And we really look forward to connecting with people, and also at the Omega Institute. I'll be there a couple of times this summer, beginning Memorial Day weekend, and then again in October. We have many programs. So really appreciate speaking with you, Bob. It's been really enjoyable.
Oh, you kidding? It's been great. I'm serious. I mean, you know, really, people have to know. And you explained it beautifully. Absolutely
Thank you.
perfect. So thank you very, very much for being on the show. And we got to do this again. We got to talk about trees. In fact, you know what? You should go look up David Malarsh, because he's in your area up there. And I don't think he's in Washington State, though. I think he's a little lower. But, I'm serious. You got to see some of the stuff in it that he does. And maybe you can pass that on.
I look forward to that. I wrote down his name when you mentioned that.
Yeah, he is he's got videos out and everything else. That these are things that you could actually use to teach people how to go talk to a tree.
Right.
I mean, it's all good stuff. All good stuff. So we're passing it around. We're connecting the dots, and you're awesome. Great.
Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you.
Really
thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Now,
take care.
All righty. To everybody out there, this has been, and I can only say, from the bottom of my heart, this has been one heck of a Sunday. And I hope, and I pray, that everybody learned something, because we went from a lot of things. We went from NDEs to where you go when you die, or do you die, or maybe you don't die. All those questions, to the stars, to what do we have going on with us all the time, to the basic things that go on in our life, the elemental part, the indigenous side of it, the part that is really you. And these are all good things. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our butts out of here. That's what we're going to do. Oh yeah, I want to thank everybody out there, Net, for being on the being an audience, Net, today. We had the actual conference, worldwide conference lineup, and so far so good. I mean, it worked. Amazing. It's our world, for real. So let's start taking care of it. It's time to think for yourself. Open your heart to reality and to all the misinformation that you hear. Just say no. Time as we know it is changing. So, change with time. Don't forget, you can write me or the show at BobCharlesShow@live.com or Pyramid One Network at live.com. I want to thank all the networks that made this show possible and make it possible 6 days a week. There's Knock Hard Radio in New York. There's Bandit Radio in the West. There's now a new one. It's called X Factor. And we're going to be telling you a lot more in the blogs about them this week. Mix Network, mixing the world energy around the world and around the globe. And Kinetic Radio. Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio is the #1 informative, educative community station heard right here in Charleston, South Carolina.